Welcome to Space Maestries, your trusted source for breaking headlines, global insights, and sharp analysis from around the world. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. August 5th, 2025, Washington, D.C. A phone rings, a call that makes aides spill coffee and reporters scramble. On one end, Donald Trump, never one to back down from a negotiation. On the other, Ottawa, Canada. Trump, the architect of America First, is now calling for a trade do-over. It's the political equivalent of your ex texting, "You up, I miss our trade deals." For years, Trump and Trudeau's relationship was more awkward neighbors than friendly allies. Trump's tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum, justified as national security, baffled everyone, especially Canada. The move hurt both economies, raising prices for American businesses and consumers. Now, with U.S. industries groaning under the weight of tariffs, Trump is reaching out. The news sends shockwaves. Why now? Why play nice with Canada? The man who once called Trudeau very dishonest and weak is now extending an olive branch, sort of. The call isn't just negotiation, it's desperation, a last-ditch effort to rewrite his legacy. The world watches, waiting for the next move in this high-stakes political drama. The stage is set for a showdown, one that could change everything. Why the sudden change from Trump? Let's look at his playbook. America First meant tariffs, taxes on imports, to force jobs back to the U.S. But tariffs didn't just hurt Canada, they boomeranged, raising costs for American companies and consumers. The promised manufacturing boom fizzled. Instead, supply chains tangled and U.S. industries struggled. Canada hit back with tariffs on bourbon, ketchup, and more, targeting key U.S. political districts. The trade war was now hurting Trump's own base. The phone call to Ottawa wasn't friendship, it was damage control. Trump needed a win to show he could end the trade war he started. He wanted to be the deal maker who could fix the mess, even if he made it. This wasn't defeat, it was a pivot. The art of the deal 2, the Canadian apology tour. But Canada wasn't playing by his script. The stakes were higher than ever. Would Trump get his sequel, or just a cold shoulder? From Canada's side, Trump's tariffs were a slap in the face. National security? Canadians scoffed. We're your closest ally. Trudeau had to defend Canadian workers, but couldn't risk a full-blown trade war with their biggest customer. Canada's response: smart, targeted tariffs on U.S. goods from politically sensitive states. Bourbon, orange juice, yogurt. Bourbon, orange juice, yogurt. It was strategic pain, not all-out retaliation. Canada held firm, diversified trade, and waited for logic to prevail. Their message: remove the tariffs unconditionally before we talk. No bargaining for what was rightfully theirs. You started this, you have to end it. Canada's patience was their power, waiting for the U.S. to realize punishing a friend was bad policy. They wouldn't negotiate with a gun to their head. The ball was in Washington's court. Canada sat in the penalty box, ready to return to the ice, on their terms. The world watched to see if principle could outlast pressure, and Canada didn't blink. Tariffs sound complicated, but here's the deal. Imagine you love avocados. California and Mexican, both $1. The US slaps a 25% tariff on Mexican avocados. Now they cost $1.25. You buy the cheaper California ones until there's a shortage and prices rise for both. Suddenly, all avocados are more expensive. The consumer pays the price. Now scale that up. Steel, aluminum, lumber. Tariffs on Canadian materials mean higher costs for American companies. Cars, houses, beer cans. Prices rise for everyone. The America First policy becomes a hidden tax on Americans. That's why Trump called Canada. Tariffs were hurting his own people. Trade wars aren't easy to win. They're expensive for everyone. The supermarket lesson tariffs hit home, not just abroad. And that's why the phone call mattered. Oval Office, August 2025. Trump, frustrated, stares at charts showing rising prices in swing states. "It's the tariffs, isn't it? It's Trudeau," he grumbles. His aide tries to explain, but Trump cuts him off. "Forget the fancy words. Trudeau hit us where it hurts. Bourbon in Kentucky. Suddenly, Trump sees an opportunity. We need to fix this. We'll make a deal. The best deal. Get Ottawa on the phone. Tell them Trump is ready to end this. His aide nods, dialing, knowing the tariffs were their own idea. For Trump, it's not about admitting a mistake. It's about spinning a new victory. The economic theory is irrelevant. The political reality is urgent. The tariffs are unpopular and damaging. Trump's call isn't retreat. It's a strategic pivot, a new episode in his political reality show. He's ready for his close-up, hoping to turn crisis into triumph. But will Canada play along? The stakes are personal, political, and economic. The world waits for the next move. The phone rings in Ottawa. The game is on. Trump's team calls Ottawa with bravado. Let's make a deal. We'll lift tariffs if you give us concessions. The subtext: Trump expects Canada to be grateful for the chance to negotiate. The US wants limits on Canadian dairy, changes to intellectual property, something to show for ending the pain. Trump's approach: never give something for nothing. Use tariffs as leverage. But Canada sees it differently. For them, it's about principle, not transactions. They've endured the pain, held their ground, and demand the tariffs be lifted unconditionally. Trump expects a deal. Canada wants justice. The two sides are miles apart. The real negotiation is just beginning. Ottawa receives the call, reviews the US offer, and responds with calm resolve. The message: we're open to talks, but not on these terms. The tariffs are unjust and illegal. Lift them, and then we'll discuss trade. It's polite, firm, and unshakable. A masterclass in diplomacy. Canada refuses to negotiate for the removal of penalties they see as illegitimate. It's the diplomatic equivalent of, just give me my watch back, then we'll talk about the time. Canada's gamble. The US needs this deal more than they do. By refusing to play Trump's game, they call his bluff. The power dynamic shifts. Canada stands as an equal, not a junior partner. The world takes note: patience and principle can outlast pressure. Canada's quiet strength echoes across the border. The US is left to reconsider its approach. The standoff is now about respect, not just economics. Canada's message: we won't help you save face, we want fairness. The ball is back in Washington's court. The stakes have never been clearer. The world watches for the next move. In the Oval Office, Trump is stunned by Canada's polite refusal. He expected negotiation, not a firm "no, thank you." For once, he's speechless, his usual tactics useless. Canada's calm, principled stance leaves him with no good options. He can't spin this as a win or escalate without hurting Americans further. The administration goes quiet. No angry tweets, no fiery speeches. The silence is deafening. Canada's patience and consistency have paid off. The power dynamic has shifted. Canada stood its ground and won the round. The episode exposes the limits of America first with close allies. Relationships and trust matter more than bluster. Canada's strategy: absorb the blows, stick to principles, wait for the right moment. When it came, they didn't flinch. The US is left to rethink its approach. Sometimes, the strongest move is simply to say no. What does this mean for US-Canada relations? Canada's defiance could mark a turning point, demanding respect, not just compliance. The tariffs remain, and the stalemate continues. But the dynamic has changed. Any future deal will likely favor Canada more than Trump intended. The world sees a new playbook: patience, principle, alliances, and the power to say no. International relations aren't just about power, they're about conviction and clarity. The US-Canada bond is bigger than any one leader. But Canada now expects to be treated as an equal, not a subordinate. The path forward requires respect, not demands. This moment of silence may lead to a stronger, more honest partnership for years to come.